Hi everybody, welcome to Tobacco Road Cellars. I'm Michael Zitzlaff, the winemaker for Tobacco Road, and I hope this morning to give you a little insight into what exactly makes Tobacco Road Cellars that little bit different from every other brand that's on the market. One of the key things that the guys at Jason and Dusty have really focused on, and the winemaking that we've focused on as well, is the four key elements of quality. For us, that's vineyard, winemaking, maturation, and packaging. These four elements have basically been the focus of Dusty and Jason's concept of Tobacco Road Cellars from day one. If it's good enough for somebody else, then it's not good enough for us. We need to go that extra step. These guys are committed, and I'm actually pretty delighted to be associated with them. The first factor that we focus on is vineyard. We cannot make great wine out of poor vineyards. The vineyards that we source the fruit from is very high quality, very expensive, very low yielding, and the tireless work that we do in vineyards, starting from bud burst in March, all the way through to harvest in September and October, is absolutely exhausting. Every 4 to 5 days we will visit the vineyard, all the way through the growing season, when the little green buds just first start to push in March, all the way through the growth of the shoots, shoot removal, crop removal, green shoot removal, leaf removal from around the bunches to maximise sunlight, and it coming in and intercepting the grapes so that we end up with the maximum amount of colour and the maximum amount of fruit development, all the way through spray programs, irrigation scheduling. All these things can actually drive the end quality of the product, and we have a very, very tight control over what's actually happening in the vineyard. By the time we do harvest, we know the fruit flavours are there, we know the tannin is there, we know that the quality of the grapes are at the level that we expect, and if something is subpar, then it gets rejected and doesn't get included within the Tobacco Road brand. Once the grapes have been appointed to be harvested on a particular date, they're all picked by 7 o'clock in the morning, they're on a truck by 8 o'clock and being delivered to the winery later that morning. The fruit goes directly into a cool room where it's held at 34, 35 degrees Fahrenheit, or for those of you who are metric, around the 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. The fruit will then get processed within hours. It'll be taken from the cool room onto the sorting line, where we'll go through 3 and or 4 times for people to actually sort those grapes. The first one is bunch sorting, where the fruit is very gently tipped onto an inclined sorting line. Here, any leaves, any bad bunches that have been damaged, any bunches that have got raisin berries are discarded, and we end up with just perfectly looking fruit going into the destemmer. After the destemmer, the stalks are removed from the bunches, and the berries then progress along a shaker table, which will shake any small green pieces of stalk, what we commonly call jacks. It will remove those, and it also allows a whole series of sorting people to be able to look for any berries that may be damaged, so that into the fermentation vessels we end up with just pure, intact berries. This goes for Pinot Noir, Syrah, and for Cabernet as well, particularly for Cabernet. Once the wines have started their journey through fermentation, the monitoring, the attention to detail, the work that we put in, because we only get one shot a year at getting this right. Once we've fermented, the wines are pressed into a lot of new oak. New oak is very expensive, being over $1,000 a barrel at the moment. Very fine grain French oak, long seasoned, at least 36 months, so that we end up providing a layer of tannin to the wine that's almost, it's textural, it's satin, it's silk, it's velvet, and we get that from these very expensive barrels. We're very excited about the 2008 harvest, which is actually using some Blend X barrels from one particular cooperage, Radu. They're very expensive, but they've only produced 20 of them for the American market, and we're delighted to say that we actually have 2 of those to be able to use in our 08 Cabernet. Once the wines are put to barrel, we then monitor them. They go through a secondary ferment. We're addressing those barrels at least once a week. We're looking at the stage of the final fermentation, the malolactic fermentation, the oak pickup. We then allow the wines to be racked, and racking is where we take the clean wine that's sitting in the barrel off the lees, which is settled out in the barrel. We rack that by hand. We're topping the barrels up every 2 weeks, because you naturally get evaporation that occurs within a barrel. The labels are designed, the corks are designed, the wax is purchased, and there's a couple of winemakers updates you can see on the Tobacco Road website, which goes through the bottling, labelling and waxing processes, and the packaging of course as well, which is just absolutely brilliant. Individual wooden boxes, you know, the club mentality, the you're getting something very special. That's been something that Dusty and Jason have focused on from day one. So I hope this has given you a bit of an overview as to the amount of labour and love that goes into each one of these wines that we produce for Tobacco Road Cellars. I hope you've enjoyed this brief trip, and feel free to look around the website to pick up any further information you may want. Thank you.